here, and I'm a couple minutes late. It's a snowy day out there. You can't really see it, but it's snowy. Trust me. It's coming down. We got a few inches yesterday, and then I think we're going to get a few more today. Funny thing, it was like 70 last weekend. Very warm last weekend. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what's going on. If it's your first time on today, welcome everyone. I think we got a couple people on, which is cool. It's always great to have some folks on. Got Raul, and you're from Bangladesh. You're a big fan. My advice is awesome. Can I tell you how I add with your premium course? Yeah, you should sign up for my email list, and then over the course of a few weeks, you'll get more information to make sure it's right for you. And then, honestly, a lot of people want to go through that email sequence versus like just sending. I can send you straight to the sales page, but I can guarantee you for like 99% of the people, 0.999, you're not going to go for it. But thanks for asking, so you can check it out. Francis is on. What's going on? Francis is a student in the course in McChew. What's happening? All right. Yeah, everyone say hello. And we got Jason on. Very cool. Very cool. Valen, also a student in the course. Wow, a lot of students in the course. That's great. So we got a few things we're going to talk about today, of which, you know what? I honestly don't remember all the stuff. But we'll figure it out as we go. I do answer a few questions here and there, but a lot of ways I just talk about things that I'm thinking about, things I'm working on. And right now my wife and I have been house hunting a decent amount. So we found a place, so that's great. And we're working with, we're shopping around with lenders. We got some good recommendations. Hey, Georgie, quit it. Hey, Georgie. Georgie was going after herself there. She's been doing that quite a bit. She doesn't love to walk in this. She doesn't mind the snow, but she hates wearing boots, but they put salt everywhere. So it ends up potentially irritating her feet. So anyway, working with lenders, and once you have your paperwork together, I know a lot of people out there have already purchased homes or whatever, and in fact, some people sent me advice and stuff. Thanks for that. But once you have your paperwork together, it's not that big of a deal. And I've been working for myself for a few years and have tax returns and all that stuff. So even if you're self-employed, as long as you have like proof of income, then you're in good shape. So no issues there, which is great. If I had just started the business or I just got laid off, obviously much more difficult to get a mortgage, and they don't particularly want to, you have to go through a lot of steps to like prove that you're worthy. But the interesting thing for me, which I should probably do like a full like podcast show and just kind of run through some things. But I bought a home after I got out of college because that's what you were supposed to do. However, that was in 2005 when I bought my house. So it was right at the peak of the market, and then like basically I was underwater. I wanted to rent it out like long term and stuff, but at some point I was like, I'm just losing so much money. I couldn't refinance, and it just looked like I didn't have many options. So I let it go into foreclosure. Now, it is very difficult to get advice about foreclosure because most people will just tell you, no, don't do it. If you can avoid it, don't do it. Also, if you try to Google it and you try and get information, you will notice that all of the stories about foreclosure are written by lenders and bankers and a bunch of people who like don't care about you. Like lenders and bankers are there to make money. They're not there to help you. Getting on a soapbox here early. Getting on a soapbox real early. So the lenders and bankers are not there to help you. They may act like they're there to help you, but their incentive is to like close the deal, like just get it done, loan the money, loan it to good people that are probably going to pay it back or whatever. But they're really not there to help you. And it was very clear when I was trying to like negotiate or, just get anything, right? Like help me out here. So they weren't working with me, let it go into foreclosure. It's called a strategic foreclosure in the situation I was in because I had no other debt. I have excellent credit, and I was making good money. So basically, I realized, hey, I'll let it go into foreclosure. I'm not planning on borrowing money for a house, a car, or anything in the near future. And it shouldn't matter, because if you don't have to borrow money, then your credit score doesn't matter. All that to say, it's been 7 years, and at this point, they'll lend me money. But the other funny thing is they really they still they still they still don't trust you. They're like, can you send like more information? Like, okay, you have a business, but like, where's all the money coming from? And I'm like, all the money's covered. I've sent you like enough bank accounts to show you like where the money's coming from. And they're like, well, what about blah blah blah? And I'm like, get out of here. So anyway, I'm sending them more stuff, and it should be fine. But then they send you like a disclosure document that you have to sign, and it's like 45 pages. And they're like, will you waive your right on this and that and this other thing? And it's like, dude, you guys are already like raking us over the coals. Are you insane? Like, what? Why am I going to waive my rights on this like federal law here? Anyway, getting deep into the weeds, and the context may be out of place a little bit. So, all right, let me hop back to the chat since a lot of people. All right, a lot of people are on here. So, Sean says, "I know you're running. Now you're. I don't know what you're trying to say there." So have I seen Seth James? No, never heard of Seth James Jamore running channel. Oh, gotcha. Okay, sorry. When you read, it's hard sometimes when you read live. Okay, I know you're into running. Have I seen Seth James Jamore running channel? He's in the area. Maybe. I may have seen that. There are a lot of elite runners in the Boulder area, like tons of them, because it's up, we're up high elevation. So if you train here, you got a little bit of an advantage. I'll check it out. Yeah, what's his channel's name? Thanks, Sean. All right, Danish, what's up, Dan? How's it going? Damien, Jeremy from Florida, and Sayin, cool. All right, you sold a site. I don't remember you specifically, but you sold a site worth 6 figures. So you sold it for 6 figures. Cool, very good, very good. And Jason's kicking off a refi. Awesome. All right. Martin says, I'm promoting Ezoic. How do I use them on the website? But they're not as promoted, blah, blah, blah. It turned out to be much slower. Okay, Martin, so you're saying, so I can't speak specifically on the best way to use it. However, I highly encourage you to work with the Ezoic team. They can help you out to figure out like the right way to implement it on your site. I've been testing the Site Speed Accelerator overall, and initially the results were unclear to me, but I think I was testing it in a way that wasn't as efficient, that didn't provide the exact results. So basically, like if you are just testing on like Pingdom, which is like my default, that's how I usually do it, the results may vary. However, if you test it on the Google Site Speed Page Insights, then that is a way to get like, because basically that tool is optimized for the Google Page Speed Insights. So it's PSI, and if you Google it, you should be able to find it pretty easily. So you should check out like the documentation, number one, and then feel free to contact the Ezoic team to figure out like the best way to set it up, to configure everything on your end. It's not always apparent. All right, so it should be fairly straightforward, but it isn't always that way. And one other thing, and I see some people are asking questions, and I'll hop over there. And I see Danish is asking something. Rashadul and Francis, what's up? Okay, so Francis, you got a quick question here, and I'll hop to that. There's a new keyword service called blah, 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 and they're claiming to provide this and that in collaborating with Income School. So I'm not associated with it. I've never heard of it. I don't know anything about it. I would be super nervous to pay for a keyword service, because what keeps someone from just reselling the keywords? Answer me that. Like, I could have opened a keyword service and made just a shitload of money, have like keyword packages, and just like sell the same shit over and over again. But I don't want to do services either. So, and you know what? I don't know who's providing it. I don't know anything about it, but I would definitely question any kind of service out there. I, however, am I would say a cynic. I don't trust people. I don't trust I don't trust many people. And yeah, and I don't know. I know Income School, those guys seem to be smart. Their channel's crushing it. So if you like Income School and you trust them, then maybe it's fine. But I don't know anything about it. I've never heard of it, and I'm not associated with it. So I can't comment on it. However, I am associated with Ezoic, and this live stream is brought to you in part by Ezoic. As I mentioned before, they have a site speed accelerator, but they also have just like a full end-to-end platform that will help you earn more money with display ads. And they do a whole lot more, by the way. So I encourage you to go check it out. And there's a link in the description, so you can go over there. And the site speed accelerator does have a free 7-day trial, so you can check it out. And I know I forget the person who just asked. Martin said you didn't have much luck with it, but like I said, I encourage you to shoot them an email, try to work with them to get it set up if there's something that wasn't working how you expected it. All right, and Danish is asking about taxes, and I don't know, man. You got to hire an accountant. I'm sorry, I can't help you with your taxes. That is that's pretty funny. In fact, I would suggest don't try to get tax advice from YouTubers unless they're an accountant. So just hire an accountant and they'll take care of it for you. So I'm sorry I can't help you more, but just definitely don't ask affiliate marketers how to do taxes. I have an accountant. I've had an accountant for a couple years. When I didn't have an accountant, it was basically just like filing your own taxes, which is generally straightforward depending on what you have going on, but it can get fairly complicated. All right, so the other thing that I could talk about is I've been mentoring for an entrepreneur like accelerator and for like startups and small companies here in the Longmont area. And actually, the foundation that I'm helping out, the nonprofit that I am helping out, they have like a New York Times like some coverage, and it came out today. So I was trying to like look it up earlier to share it around and everything. But number one, I had a little bit of trouble like finding it at first. So I guess it just went live this morning. And then when I hopped over to New York Times, it's like you have to subscribe or log in or something like that. And I was like, come on, are you serious? You're like charging for this information. But anyway, it's called Entrepreneurship for All, EforAll. And they don't charge anything. The company doesn't take any like points. They don't take any ownership at all. They just provide mentorship and help, and I'm volunteering. Part of it, because it's right in the community. So it helps companies and startups right here, like in the Longmont and Boulder area, which is awesome because it's not like some faraway place. And it's like very small businesses with, 1, 2, 3 people, or where they're in a position where they're just getting started and they have an idea, but they don't know like what to do next, or they don't have any experience like launching a company. So it's been super interesting. And I'm working with like a brewing and sort of food kind of company, which is cool. And I mentioned that I was into beer, so that was helpful. And then I brew. So I think that is helpful overall. And then further, there's, I think 8 other companies, super cool. And they did like a pitch sort of, it wasn't a contest, but like a pitch update, so we could hear what they're working on, how things are going. And yeah, some of the companies are super awesome, and I wouldn't be surprised if a few of them took off sort of on a national level. So very, very good ideas, and it's an awesome program. So check it out. EforAll is Entrepreneurship for All. And a lot of the people that we end up helping out are like minorities, like underrepresented. So quite a few women-led companies, super cool, and some minority folks as well. So, and it's open to everyone, by the way, like anyone who needs some help. But a lot of times it's harder, I guess, to find mentors out there, especially like we're not taking ownership or doing anything. All the mentors like myself are 100% volunteers. And in fact, they mentioned that they needed help teaching some of the classes because there's a whole classroom component, multiple classes per week. And it's a pretty intense program overall. So they get like a crash course in starting a company. very cool. So they look at the market segment and identifying customers and pain points, and then marketing and figuring out if it's profitable, and all these details. It's super cool, super cool. Big time commitment for the people starting the company, of course. And it's a huge time commitment for the mentors as well. And they do teach these classes. They mentioned they're getting into SEO and some other topics. And I thought they had everything squared away, but they don't. So I volunteered to teach some of those classes, especially the SEO. That's kind of like the wheelhouse that I'm in anyway. And feel free, Michael, to ask your question. What's up, Derek? Carrie, you're up at 3 a.m. on a weekend even. So, all right. And well, if you're here, that's awesome. If you have any questions, Carrie. And yeah, so look it up. Dan mentions you may be able to get the same, or the 10, you may be able to read the article on New York Times as part of like your free 10 if you sign up. So anyway, it's out there, and I will be teaching a couple of those classes. And speaking of like teaching SEO, I am a member at the Mr. Money Mustache HQ, the headquarters here, the world headquarters. Who's heard of Mr. Money Mustache? Let me know in the chat if you have, and then also let me know if you're watching the replay later. You could just like leave it in the chat. So pretty cool, awesome group up there. A lot of people are sort of semi-retired, or at least a lot of us don't have corporate jobs and have a very free schedule. We all stay pretty busy though, to be honest with you. So I asked if people were interested in an SEO, little talk, a chat, and I gave one on Wednesday. I have mentioned on the channel here, I'm trying to improve my public speaking, maybe going to speak at a few places. Some of that's pending, by the way. And I'm trying to just feel comfortable in front of a crowd. And I thought 2 or 3 people were going to show up based on like the survey and the response that I got. People seemed interested in SEO and getting more traffic to their websites, but it looked like maybe just a couple of people were going to show up. Anyway, 12 people showed up. A few people that drove quite a distance, over an hour to check it out. It seemed to go over really well. I kept it high level. A lot of the questions that we answer here in the chat and basically the channel overall, we get super deep in the weeds, and sometimes that's fun, but it's rather obscure at times, and people don't know what the hell we're talking about. I kept this presentation very high level. There was a wide range of people, e-commerce, blogs. In fact, Mr. Money Mustache and Mr. 1500, so Pete Adney, and Carl Jensen. I need to ask Pete how he pronounces his last name. Anyway, they get a ton of traffic, right? They have huge websites. They've been on the news, like national news. And basically, they were sitting in to learn about SEO. They get a ton of traffic, but they're rather, beginners at SEO. They were writing about something that people were interested in. So anyway, it was super cool and it went over well. I will probably do the same presentation later in the day. I did it like at noon basically. And a lot of people have jobs, yet they wanted to learn about it, but they couldn't show up because they were working. So I'll probably do one in the evening, and it was sort of like open to the, to the people that are like associated with the workspace, or actually it was kind of open to the public, to be honest with you, if you wanted to show up, like, because there were a couple guests that came in, and it was awesome. Very cool. I think I did better than I expected because I think I have a lot of filler words, and it depends if I know what I'm going to say. I think in these situations, and I'm trying very hard today, by the way, not to say filler words just to fill the space, but rather take a pause. So if I have a prepared talk, I think I do much better. And the other thing that these live streams have really helped me with, I can answer questions live, like very easily. After doing who knows how many hours on this, like probably over 100 hours of like live streams and just answering questions. Now that I'm thinking about it, I've probably done closer to like 500 hours, something like that. I could just answer questions. People have something really specific to their e-commerce site or their subscription box site or whatever. I could probably answer their question reasonably well or point them in the right direction. So it was awesome. And people were also interested in a few other topics like YouTube, affiliate marketing in general. And it went really well. And I'm excited to, try to speak and not like melt down. I wasn't too nervous, but it was an extremely friendly crowd. After all, I mean, if people are coming to learn something, they don't want to like see you fail. They want to learn something. They don't want you to melt down or anything like that. And by the way, like that pitch, like they called it a progress pitch. So that's why I'm struggling, but that's an internal term for the EforAll folks. But basically people gave us an update, and EforAll, the company leads, basically whoever the founder is, they gave like 3-minute talks, which is very short. It's in some ways, if you're not totally nervous, it's easier to just talk for a long time. That's why I do the long videos. If you look at my early videos, then you will see that a lot of the videos, they're unedited, they're long form, because you could ramble on and you don't have to be concise, much like we're doing in these live streams. So basically, and I'll hop back to the chat. Thanks everyone for saying hello over there. So I think I totally lost my train of thought, and that is the tough part with the live chat out there. So I will answer a few questions here, and before I do though, because I see there's some that I could just address via chat. So I was talking about Mr. Money Mustache. I was talking about Mr. 1500, Carl Jensen. And Carl, I've been teasing this for a few weeks, so I hope people actually do pay attention. Carl joined me for an interview, and I talked to him like a week and a half ago. The interview is going live on Monday, but I got a little segment for you to check out. So if people are just hopping on and playing a quick segment, this is a highlight clip, sneak peek for an interview that's coming out Monday. Carl retired when he was 43. All right. And in this clip, he's going to, actually, we talk about what we think retirement is. All right. Because it varies out there, like depending on who you're talking to. And some people think retirement is like sitting around and doing zero work. But it turns out if you can retire early, if you're ambitious enough to do that sort of thing, you're pretty ambitious and you're going to find other things to do. So here's Carl Jensen.
I actually Googled the word retirement, and the definition that came up is, I think, to cease doing work. And I hate the word retirement for that, because I haven't ceased doing anything. It has changed, and I'm doing things on my own term. But I work more than ever. I just do it because I love it. And some of it pays money, some of it does not, but it is definitely not to cease work. So retirement in our definition would be, I don't know, it's such a hard question. I guess I would say I am not retired, because retired means to stop doing something, but maybe financially independent, but that doesn't, you could say you're financially independent, but that doesn't connotate the stop work part. So I don't know, funployed, do whatever the hell I want. Someone needs to come up with a new term. Have you ever thought about what would be an accurate term to describe our situation?
I think I'm sure I heard it from some other smarter person, but like a work optional, or the work that you're doing is optional, and you have choices.
Yep.
Something like that. Because you do some stuff that's making money, and then there's some other stuff that you're just doing for fun.
Yeah. And I should also disclose that my wife works, and that was a whole other weird situation. She has a more formal employment agreement, but she does it because she loves it too. I tell her almost weekly, if you don't like this anymore, stop, don't do it anymore. She's like, no, I really get something out of this. So, and we have kids, so I need a activity that I really enjoy while they're in school. So, but a great passive income source is a spouse that works.
That is great. I have the same thing. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's passive benefits for us at least.
Yeah. And hopefully, if you asked, Mindy is my real estate agent, Carl's wife. So hopefully this week she was in good spirits after working with us. We're high maintenance. I'll put it that way. And then I'm going to hopefully have Mindy on the show. I didn't realize she was such a prominent podcaster until a little bit after. I think I listened to like 1 or 2 episodes, and then it was like, oh, you're that Mindy. I was like, oh, whatever. And then I was like, oh, oh, this is kind of a big deal.
Yeah. And by the way, you are not high maintenance at all. I have some stories I could tell you, which I will not say on the air because I don't want to hurt any feelings. But if you think you're high maintenance, nah, you're not.
Yeah. I'm like just walking in, apologizing constantly, but that's kind of my style. I don't want to be in position for anyone, you know?
Yeah, I understand. You're a thoughtful person. So
sticking with the retirement ideas, did you have like a hard time at the very end where you were like, like we see the math, but what about the risk in the future, the unforeseen just future, the consequences that you may just have no clue about?
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe I'm stupid, but from a financial standpoint, I never worried about anything. And I probably should have had because we didn't keep super good track of our spending, and my $1 million in savings would not have been enough to retire for the 4% rule. I think most people vastly underestimate the amount of money they spend. We didn't vastly underestimate it, but we did underestimate it. But at the time, I did not worry about money at all. And part of it was I knew I could just go back to work. I was a software guy, and I still get emails, multiple per day, about jobs, which I don't ask for. I don't know where these things come from, but I'm never going to go back to a formal software job. The emotional part was very difficult, though. Like I said, I made my number a year before I stopped working because I had worked really, really hard and built up a career for the previous 20 years. And just to let all that go, you've got the sunk cost, all the time you spent learning these programming languages, and all the time you spent working your way up. You've got this body of knowledge, so you're very valuable to your organization. Like I designed the infrastructure that our thing sat on, in addition to being a coder. And I felt kind of bad, and that was probably selfish because no one is irreplaceable unless you're Elon Musk. But yeah, it was very hard, and I'd known these people. Often I don't think it's a good idea to become good friends with your coworkers, but I was, and I like these people a lot. And by leaving my job, I was going to leave a big part of my life behind. And I was worried about that vacuum too. Like, am I going to be bored after I leave this job? Am I going to sit around and really regret this? The thing is too, once I left my job, I probably wouldn't be able to go back to that one because I had a clearance, which would have lapsed after I quit. So once I closed that door, there was probably no going back. So yeah, the emotional part was very difficult. I kind of had to, kick my ass over the edge and just do it and see what happened.
And that was Carl Jensen, and that full interview is coming out Monday, both on the podcast and here on YouTube. And I mentioned on there that Carl's wife is Mindy Jensen, and she is a podcast host at the Bigger Pockets Money podcast. And I quickly, listened to a couple episodes before I knew who Mindy was or Carl. And I was like, oh, this is fine. Sounds pretty good, whatever. And yeah, it was totally fine. But I just didn't listen to the show anymore, and then started doing a little research. Mindy and I were driving around looking at houses and stuff, and I had a couple beers with Carl at the work, at the Mr. Money Mustache HQ workspace. And then I went back and looked at her podcast and saw there's about 100 episodes, so that's cool. But the thing is, I saw how many reviews there were. And I had heard of Bigger Pockets, but I didn't pay attention. It's mostly about real estate investing, which I have low interest in because of all of my crappy real estate experience in the past. And frankly, real estate takes more work than just throwing your money in an index fund. Carl and I talk about index funds a little bit in the interview as well. And the point is, I'm interviewing Mindy in a couple weeks, so that should be great. And as I've teased and alluded to, I'm going to be talking to some financial independence and personal finance folks just because I'm interested in the topic. And then I lucked out like crazy in that I know some prominent people now, so other people will talk to me. In fact, I'm not sure if this link is going to 100% work here, but I will try. Actually, I'll try and link it up here. So, Mr. Glue Power, great name, asked this: what's my view on affiliate links versus ad? Do I see more revenue from ads on content that is not sales oriented, or affiliate sales focused pages. So I think you answered your own question. Insightful, I would say, nice job. So if you have content that is focused towards traffic that will buy something, a product, then you should probably have an affiliate offer on there if there's something for him to buy. If it's more informational based, then put the ads. That's probably going to pay off more. Quick example, if I was looking to, I have a good one. If I was Googling, how do I plan a road trip to Alaska? I'm looking for information. However, if I'm Googling what hotel should I stay at in Anchorage or in Denali, something like that, in the Denali area, then I'm probably looking for a place to stay. I want to buy something. So that's not a product specifically. It's more of a service, being a hotel and everything, but put the right offer in front of the traffic that you're trying to attract. If you try to put ads on a page where you could be selling something, then you're probably not going to make as much money because someone else is selling the thing, right? That's the deal. Now there is retargeting. And that is why I think the CPC value doesn't matter as much these days. And Kent, what's going on? Good to see you on here, buddy. And Michael asked a question about a directory. So he has a business directory and you include local events. This is a good question. And you have KGR articles. And I usually talk about having 50% affiliate content and 50% informational content. But in your case, Michael, you're not pushing affiliate links generally, and you're not going after product related keywords. And I think that is sort of the classification in my mind. So in general, I think that's the right way to approach it. So anyway, the point is, going back, cool interview coming up. I'm going to be talking to Carl's wife, Mindy, who's great, super smart, very good podcaster, and just all around person. So I'll be talking to her in a few weeks. Jason gave me a tip a little while back and actually sent me an email and sent the guy from Money Lab. So his name is Matt Giovanisi. And I figured out how to pronounce it because I asked him personally while we were having a beer, or more properly, I was having a couple beers, and it was kind of during the day. So Matt was doing work. I was kind of doing work too, but it was mostly just talking to him. So anyway, I'm going to be interviewing Matt in his own studio, which is awesome because he is a badass overall, and he has a very nice studio with higher end microphones, like the professional microphones. I forget which brand they are, but if you see the pro podcasters, the really high end podcasters, they will have often the slicker microphones. This does the job. It's great. I've traveled with it. I've traveled thousands of miles with it, thrown in the backpack, drove to Alaska with it. I've driven to Atlanta with it, and it's great. The Audio Technica ATR 2100. There's an XLR input, so I could use it with my recorder. My recorder right here, my Zoom recorder, and there's also a USB attachment, and it works great. It sounds pretty good, so it's totally fine. So Matt has better microphones, and he was like, "Hey, you can just come to my studio if you want." So I said yes. So I'm going to be doing that soon. And if you don't know Matt, you should check out his blog. It's moneylab.co. And he has a lot of affiliate marketing stuff. He has a couple courses, which I'm sure I'll ask him about. And he also has a theme. I haven't used it, but it looks like it's built for speed, and it's just a straightforward approach to getting a clean and fast loading website. So Matt's great. Like I said, he had a couple beers with me. He sat near me while I drank the beers, and he had water or coffee. So anyway, what other questions do we have out there? Okay, and Raul says, do you really need links for better ranking? Yes. So if you're just saying, do you need links to rank? Then the answer is no. But if you want to rank better and just generally like get more traffic, then probably links are going to be helpful. Not always, I'm sure there's exceptions, but generally links are going to be helpful. And you also say, do you really love links, or do you think the link doesn't hit any affiliate site? So I'm not 100% sure what you're asking, Raul, but I will try. Actually, I don't love anything like specifically with affiliate marketing. It's all very interesting. All right. And if you don't want to build links, I personally don't give a shit. Like if people want to build links or not build links, great. It's up to you. It's a personal choice. And I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. But if you are asking the question, will you rank better if you have some links versus not having links? Generally, you're going to do better if you do have some links. And the great Marty McLeod just finished his breakfast burrito. So now he's hanging out. And Marty and I recently talked about hosting. So Sahil is asking what the best hosting is right now. So I throw too many disclaimers. I haven't tried every host out there, so I don't know what the best host is, but I could tell you that I use SiteGround, and I could tell you that I use MDD hosting. And Marty, I don't know if you checked out, I haven't had a chance to email you. Sorry about that, buddy. Basically, I got a response back from the founder and CEO of WPX Hosting, where Marty had some issues several weeks ago. And basically they said, hey, we screwed up. And I thought they did a good job replying back, and it sounded like a mistake. And I've had issues both on like Bluehost, which a lot of people swear by Bluehost. I've had issues with GoDaddy at one point, even though a lot of people have great luck with GoDaddy. Some people don't like it. So everyone has like their own experience. And basically, there are so many customers for any given hosting company. I guarantee you someone will have a bad experience. It's just inevitable. And some people are bad customers. Sometimes bad things happen and it's totally an accident. Sometimes there are huge mistakes. So in the podcast episode that came out yesterday, I talked about like I had a major issue, a full outage for all sites that I had on MDD hosting. In fact, everything that they had, period, went down. All the thousands and thousands of sites that they host, everything went down. It was down for like 3.5 days, something like that, depending on what priority like your server was. And they screwed up. They said, hey, we made a mistake. Here's what happened. Here's what we're going to do so it won't happen again. So anyway. Oh, and Nathan says, okay, I'll note this, Nathan. Nathan is saying, when I talk to Matt, and that's Matt Giovanisi, I got to keep saying it so I can make sure I always get it right. So Matt Giovanisi is going to be on the show soon. And basically, Nathan says, talk about link building. So I think maybe Matt and I would vary. And I mean, like I said before, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but generally most SEOs are going to be like, yeah, build some links. Like it's one of those things. And boom, boom, boom. And Marty says that Terry Kyle's response was refreshing. And basically, I opened a ticket with the support team, and then it immediately went like to the top. I was like, hey, I'm doing a show. Here's what happened. And I'd love to get a response from you so that it's balanced. So I thought that was pretty good. All right. And next, I won't read this all out, but Martin is mentioning some stuff about Ezoic, and I can't comment on that, but I know many people are very happy with it. And I don't know, because I typically don't do like ad-based sites. So, all right. A couple other things, a couple other observations that I have like a bunch of sticky notes where I like made some notes. I am thinking about, let me know if you're interested in this stuff. So I was just doing some activities the other day. For example, I recently got an email. It said, hey, there's a new PHP version 7.3 out. We recommend you upgrade it. And I was like, oh, I know how to do that. I've done that before. So I hop onto my hosting account, go over to the cPanel, click, 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 boop, bop, boop, and then it's running. And the site loads faster, right? Because it's a newer version of PHP. It's more secure, good things, right? And I was like, oh, you know what? I Googled that at one point and then I learned how to do it. And now I don't like answer or I don't have to like go Google it and figure it out. But I know people ask the question and I can answer things like that. So the question is, I wonder if people are interested in just like, how do you change the PHP version? Or the other one is like, I get this question all the time. How do you create an Amazon affiliate link, or how do you have a VA create an Amazon affiliate link without logging into your account? And there's just a format. It's a super simple format. And it's like, I have just known it since I started in 2013. Maybe I looked it up then. Maybe I saw that tools were creating a specific link, like EasyAzon, I think is actually where I found it now that I'm saying it out loud. I was using EasyAzon. I saw the link format and I thought, hey, can I just use that format? Is that like a universal way to rewrite an affiliate link for Amazon? And it turns out it is. So that is what I instruct my VA to do. So anyway, are people interested in that sort of like just, hey, how do you do X? How do you do Y? Because I think people probably kind of search for it. That's my guess anyway. And I did mention earlier that I was going to show you a link. So the Mr. Money Mustache, some people mentioned that you're either aware, and if you're aware or like a fan, or if you adopt any of that. But cool thing, because I am a member over there, and I think this will actually help me. And this is deep, all right? So we're getting deep in here. I'm going to put the link in. I don't know if it's actually going to work. Sometimes when I paste links in the chat, people tell me that it doesn't work. So I'm not sure if it's going to work for you. Anyway, there's a member directory here. And one cool thing is that I have my podcast listed here, as well as niche site project. And I also have, I think I have the YouTube channel mentioned in here, but I don't remember. But the point is, I have the podcast listed here. So this is an outreach thing. I'm nobody in the personal finance or FI movement, financial independence. I talk about marketing and other random stuff. So people don't know who I am at all. But at this point, I'm listed here. Oh, and Derek says the link works. Awesome. So the link works. That is fantastic. So I'm listed here on this page, and people know who Pete is. So if I email someone who is in the personal finance area and say, hey, will you be on my podcast? I've talked to Carl. I'm a member at the HQ here, and you can see I'm listed. There's a strong chance they're probably going to say, yeah, sure. And in fact, I emailed someone yesterday who I was like, I don't even know if I should email her, because she's kind of like pretty prominent, pretty well known, and was, I think, like one of the finalists for a podcast of the year in her space last year. So pretty recent. Basically, it's someone out of my league, but I gave the pitch that I mentioned to you here, and she replied within like under 5 minutes, which actually kind of surprised me. So that's just a little lesson on like how to give a pitch through like social proof. And I said, I have many episodes out there. In fact, it's going to go live because I've been a guest for people that were going to launch their podcast or whatever. And then at the end of the day, they never published it. They never launched their podcast, and they just wasted my time. So roughly like 5 times or so, I have been a guest on a show that like failed to launch. So anyway, I think by me showing that I have many episodes out there, I'm on this directory. Like there's a lot of social proof just from that. And then soon I'll have Carl and Mindy, and then like that'll be out there. So I could just say, hey, I interviewed Carl here. It was great. And then people will talk to me. So you could use the same ideas to potentially get links. Maybe you could be a guest on podcast, which is another way to get links, and so on. All right. And I see Raul is asking some more questions, and I'll humor you. We'll see what you got. Doug, you said with Spencer Hawes, Link Whisper is really better. Better than what? So I never said it's better than I don't think I said that. I don't think I said that. But do you really think it's provide really better natural anchor, or do you really love AAWP? And Marty called you out and said that's like comparing apples to a monkey. That doesn't make sense. So so you're saying, all right, Raul, I'm gonna be a little hard on you here. You need to work on phrasing your questions because these make no sense, my friend. This makes no sense. You're saying, does Link Whisper provide natural anchor text like Manual? I don't know. It depends on whether or not. It depends on whether or not you're doing a good job manually or not. And then it depends on the topic too. So my tip is use the tool, and then if you like it, then keep using it. And if you don't, then don't use it. And in fact, if you think, hey, I don't think it's going to do a good job, then you know what? Don't use it. Just do it manually, man. And again, you got to think out your questions before you write them, because like your questions don't make sense just generally. So it doesn't make sense. You're asking about two things that are completely unrelated. So, all right. We are coming towards the end here. And okay, Ed says this. My question is, how much content do you need to launch your site? And you say, sorry if someone asked this, you just joined. Ed, that is totally cool, man. I like that you came in, you asked a clear question, and you were like, hey, I realize that's a common question. So number one, you could launch with 10 posts. That's what I recommend generally. Luckily, no one asked that in this session. That is a thing that, it's uncontrollable. People don't know. Number one, sometimes people don't know when these are like actually going live, and they come in a little later because the notification was late. So it's totally fine. And I highly recommend you go to nichesiteproject.com/FAQ. I have many, many frequently asked questions there. That is one of them. And if you have that question, you're in for a treat, because there's probably 20 other questions that you haven't asked yet. Maybe you haven't even thought of them yet, but I already listed them there for you. So you can just read them all out. And Suna says, does the KGR still work? The answer is yes, it still works. I just published like 4 success story interviews in the last month that were like from the last month. I mean, I published them days after I finished them, and yeah, it still works fine. I get emails every day that I don't even talk about how it's working so well, and people are like, hey, I got traffic and this and that. And this is one of the most common questions that I get. Hey, does the KGR still work? And basically, I've been getting that question since the beginning. I honestly don't know what to do with that question. Maybe I should do a video. I got an idea for a video. I got a very good idea for a video. But then the other problem is I publish so many videos that people just end up missing them. Cool thing, speaking of publishing too many videos, I am going to be doing the highlight reels again. I'm going to test it out. So if people are unfamiliar, I'll do an interview like with the great Marty here. It's like an hour long, for example. And then I will have my editor trim it down into videos that are anywhere from, say, 3 to 10 minutes long. Kind of like the one that I showed you from Carl here. I have to cough if I can figure out how to mute here. Where is the mute? Where's the mute? Oh, right there, right there. And there may be 8 different clips from Marty, And what I was doing is publishing them all at the same time, all the same way. And basically, it ended up being really popular for some people. And then other people sent me hate mail, basically. They're like, hey, you're spamming my YouTube feed and blah, blah, blah. And my hunch is that YouTube figures out what you want to watch and what you don't want to watch. So if you see all these videos in your feed and you're like, you know what, I don't want to watch them, then it's going to be okay. But here's what I'm going to try, because I can appreciate, like, if you have notifications turned on and then you get like 4 emails that all these videos went live, which I'm not sure. Maybe people let me know if I published all the 8 videos at one time. Do you get 1 email or do you get 8 emails? Marty, do you know? Do you happen to know? Because I hope you're subscribed, but I'm not 100% sure. So basically, my thought was, instead of turning notifications on for every single video, I will just turn it on for 1 or 2. And then that way, all the notifications won't go out. It's too bad, because in some ways, I don't even know no one knows exactly who gets the notifications and when they get them or anything like that. So it's really difficult to tell. And when I started getting more into YouTube, I did subscribe to people, and then I clicked the bell for notifications because that's what they said to do. And then I started getting these notifications on my phone all the fucking time. So I turned it off because I was like, I don't need my phone buzzing to let me know someone published a video. So I just subscribe to people, and it's only like personal friends that I click the bell for notifications, just because I don't need a actual notification. I want to watch kind of on my own time at my leisure. So the whole point being, I'm going to be publishing those clips. The clips are great for these live streams, by the way. And the clips are, I can see people watch them. View time is up, views are up. And even if there's only, say, 150 or 200 people that are watching all the videos, which it's kind of interesting. Like, some people watch all the videos. So I found that if you publish 8 of them and 100 or 200 people watch it, then like you'll get more views, and you'll maybe get more subscribers depending on how it's done. So it was a net overall positive, even though it irritated some people. Basically, you can't make everyone happy. And the fact that some people love the clips and I could use them for these live streams, I was like, you know what? If it's a good interview, I'll do it. It's a good thing to do. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be publishing like more than 1 video per day, and it's roughly the same amount of work for me. So why not? All right. Yuhara says, you want to ask me this. Does publishing content often help with ranking? Generally, no. No, I don't think so. I think it used to, like several years ago, because I've heard people talk about that, but to my knowledge, it doesn't help with content websites. It might help on YouTube. All right. So me publishing a lot of videos, and if you're watching several of my videos, you will probably have more suggestions from my channel than other channels if you're watching a lot of my videos. So by me publishing more content of these shorter clips that aren't an hour long and they're like 3 minutes, people can get like what they want. And sometimes people, instead of watching like if they went to watch a full hour, maybe they only watch 10 minutes. But if they watch one video for 3 minutes, and then another one for 8, and then another one for 6, and 2 more 3-minute long ones, then you will end up with more than 10 minutes of watch time. So that's kind of how it works. It's very interesting. If people are choosing to watch this specific video, then a lot of times they'll watch the full video and they'll watch more of the videos, which adds up to more than the average watch time. Very interesting. All right. And I think I maybe had one more clip in here, and if people have some final questions, let me know. Let me see what kind of clips we got going on here. All right. Oh, you know what? This is a good one from Christy. Strategies and mistakes. And I did play this one recently, but I think it is a very good one, especially for, um, well, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, Christy.
Well, I think the first thing was to just set my expectations correctly. You were a piece of that, definitely. I think you were really upfront in the course and just in your other materials of saying this isn't an overnight thing, right? And I think once you start learning more about how Google works, how SEO works, then it really clicks of, yeah, this is going to take some time. But the nice thing about, doing the KGR, at least in the beginning, is that you do see some progress and you can see some results right away, which is the key to staying motivated, right? So if I hadn't seen a single dollar in 6 months, I probably wouldn't continue. And that's really realistic if you don't go after like some KGR keywords, right? So if I had only gone after giant keyword traffic phrases, I probably would have burned out also, no matter how passionate I was about the topic. So I think it's really important right up front to tell yourself that if you need a quick fix, if you need like a way to pay your mortgage next month, this is not that. But for me, I wanted something supplemental to kind of diversify my life income, right, from my other business. And I wanted something that I would enjoy working on in my own time and eventually could be more of a lifestyle for me than running a services-based business, which I do now.
Perfect. And another thing I want to point out and emphasize, so we talked about some of the expenses and you like broke even before, you're making profit now, you could reinvest like comfortably and you're continuing to make a profit each month. The value of your site is probably in the like $70,000 to $90,000
That's a
range
nice
if you were to
number.
sell it. Yeah. So like if someone is thinking, hey, that's a lot of money that you spent,
Right.
it's actually worth quite a bit if you look at a valuation, if you shopped it around. I know because you're obsessed with it and you spend so much time, you're not going to sell it, but it's comforting
But
to
you are
know.
building an asset, and should an emergency arise, you built something of value, which I do think is important.
Yeah. So, yep, you put in a lot of money, even more time, but you have like an asset that's very clear that there's value there. So very good. Mistakes. So we all end up making some mistakes, even with expert guidance and when you try to do a good job. So can you talk about a few mistakes that you've made?
Yeah, I think there were quite a few things that I did partly well, which I classify as partly mistakes. So one of the things that I did well was create like an Excel spreadsheet right off the top. Every article, like my checklist of what needs to be done, every article. So I have a really clear sense of like every post that's out there, when it was posted, like how long I expect it to take to rank, all that good stuff. That's nice. I did not do that for things like images, right? Which I now kind of wish I'd gone back and done, that I'd kept track of which free stock sites I got things from just to cover my bases. Once you're 200 posts in, that seems pretty giant to go back. Had I to do it again, I would probably add that to my nice little spreadsheet, just as like a comfort factor. So that would be one. I would also be a little bit more strategic about the social media stuff. What I did well was focusing on Pinterest primarily. I wrote another article about Pinterest and how it drove, I think it was like 13 to 15% of my early traffic. And I think it's still right around there. I think it was like 15 or 18% last time I checked for the year, which is really good when you're still trying to get organic traffic and you want it from anywhere. So for me, Pinterest was a great place to go because it is a search engine. So you can apply a lot of what you're already doing on the site to Pinterest. So that was good. I wish that I had not started an Instagram. Kind of a time suck, and I don't work on it, and I don't like doing it. So that's probably not a huge advantage to be spending any time on, or just the time spent feeling guilty about not spending time on it. I don't need to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I would have been a little bit more strategic about that. I think the other thing I would have spent more time on is the link building, which you and I have been talking about lately, and just doing a little bit more of that along the way. So for me, I needed to focus on content, right? And that was where I put all my time, my energy, and I got to like 200 articles. And I felt really good about that. And then now we're to the point where I need to catch up on the link building. So that's kind of the next thing for me. If I were to do it over, I would have been doing that kind of the whole way.
All right. And that was Christy. And that's another good example of someone who spent a lot of time on the content, and then eventually I'm slowly convincing her to do some link building. So I personally believe her site could be even bigger and could have been if she would have spent more time. I mean, a lot of people end up feeling comfortable with what is working and they don't know what's possible with link building because they just haven't tried it. And as people are doing more, Marty's a great example where over time it's like, oh, I think the links are helping. It's just taking a little bit longer than I expected. And I mean, from my perspective, it provides a more balanced site. By the way, the link that I posted for like Mr. Money Mustache, like people have access. Check out his backlink profile. He has like an insane number of links and he's been featured all over the place. He was on like the Tim Ferriss podcast and on national news and so on and so forth. His backlink profile is insane. Same with Mr. 1500, Carl Jensen. I mean, they have just crazy number of backlinks, huge amount of coverage, and they got it because they were doing interesting things that people cared about, and they did no formal link building or any sort of SEO. They're like writing things that they want to write about that other people care about. Totally insane. Totally insane. So anyway, I think we're pretty good. I'll see if there's any other quick questions here. It looks like we covered everything. Raul, I know you keep trying to see if you could enroll in the course. I have to be honest, I don't think you're probably a good match for it right now. I think you should watch more of my YouTube videos, and I think you should sign up for the email list. If you sign up for the email list, you will get emails. And if you figure out that if the course is a good match for you, then you could sign up. But I don't want to send you to a sales page. I don't think you're ready for it, and I don't think you're going to be able to implement it right now. You need to watch some more of my content and read some more of my blog posts. Yuhara says, from my experience, how long do I think it takes for links to start showing some results? That is a super hard question to ask or answer. It is potentially as soon as a couple weeks, but it could take a few months. So it really depends on the link and your site and probably dozens of other factors. But let me give a quick example, right? So I mentioned Mr. Money Mustache was interviewed on the Tim Ferriss podcast. So Tim had like a blog post created associated with that episode. There's links over to Pete's blog, Mr. Money Mustache, and I am pretty sure a high amount of traffic went from Tim's blog over to Pete's blog. Because of that, I suspect those links helped more than a random other link from, let's say, even the New York Times. The New York Times may not send much traffic. I'm just making that up as an example. But the audience for Tim Ferriss is probably a lot more sticky, a lot more active. And they are like, oh, I do want to read more about early retirement and saving money. I'm super interested. I'm going to go check it out. Where the New York Times while it's a huge audience, it may not be as, I don't know if sticky is the right word, but they may not be as prone to follow the links and do anything about it. But I'm pretty sure that, Tim Ferriss is sending a lot of very high quality traffic. So that said, Yohara, it could be a few weeks or a few months or even longer. I was reading an email from the HOTH this morning, and they were like, hey, sometimes it takes 6 or 12 months for like SEO activity to kick in. And I have seen that. I mean, depending on what threshold you deem a success, you got to think about that. So, all right, I think that wraps it up for today. Thanks everyone for hopping on. Look out for the episodes coming out next week. I hope, fingers crossed, that those are going to get a little more attention. I hope that it'll be sort of a point in time where we'll look back and we'll see, hey, there's more people listening and watching the show now, which will be very cool. And 24/7 marketing says getting links is the greatest ego boost you can ask for. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. We will catch you next week. Marty posted a link about how long to rank on Google, so that could be helpful for you. That's by Authority Hacker, smart guys over there. And I'm going to go tromp around in the snow, put some boots on Georgie, and get out there. So, all right, you guys have a good one.